Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gabesty here. This is the Heroic DPS Guide for Spoils of Pandaria, and this video should assist DPS players with all the basics that you'll need to know to get through this fight on Heroic. So, to begin, there's one new mechanic on Heroic known as Unstable Sparks, and these are pretty simple mechanically. When your group kills the set of mobs from a particular crate during the encounter, this will cause a single unstable spark to spawn in the opposite side of the room near the other group in your raid. So essentially each time you destroy the contents of a crate, this creates one unstable spark for the other party. Each spark has about 1,000,000 health, and when it spawns, it will start to cast Supernova, which is a 10-second cast. If it's not killed before the Supernova finishes casting, this will deal pretty massive damage to your group. It may not wipe you, but if anyone is not full health, it will kill them. So the best thing to focus on as a DPS is to kill unstable sparks as soon as they pop up. You have 10 seconds to do 1,000,000 damage, which is not a lot of DPS, but they can spawn pretty frequently depending on what the other group is doing. Generally speaking, melee DPS will be less efficient at dealing with sparks than ranged DPS because the sparks tend to spawn in the center of the room, as you kind of have seen there. Now that said, your tank in particular should try to tank the larger mobs that you're dealing with anyway in the center of the room when possible so that melee DPS can help cleave the sparks when they appear. But for the most part, your ranged DPS and your healer will be dealing with the sparks as they appear, and your melee and your tank will be dealing with everything else as needed. So just plan ahead depending on what type of DPS you are and therefore what role you'll be assigned to. Now, the order that your group deals with crates is very important. As a DPS, usually you won't be assigned to opening the crates. Instead, you'll be focusing on doing damage pretty much constantly. But it's important to know the basic order that your group is going to open crates, and therefore which mobs you're going to deal with in the next set. So I won't go into detail about the order that we used in this video, but if you want the full order and examples, you can click on the full raid guide at the bottom left there to check that out. But basically the way our group did it that worked really well was to spawn large crates and small crates at the same time. So 2 or 3 smalls with a large, and then spawn double mediums, pairs of mediums, separate from the large and the small sets. So we do a large plus some smalls as a wave, and then 2 mediums as a wave, and then a large and some smalls as another wave, and then a couple mediums, and so on. So never combining mediums plus smalls. And this made things overall fairly simple. But again, DPS players usually are not assigned to opening crates. It's better suited for your healer in particular, and possibly your tank to deal with that. So finally, we have some general tips to assist you with DPS on this fight. The first, as mentioned before, is to have a basic plan for each room. This is up to your group as a whole, but this will assist you even before you begin the encounter by looking down from above at the room that you're about to enter and sort of plan out the order that you're going to open the crates, and therefore which ones you're going to DPS in what order, all that good stuff. It will help you a great deal. The second is on the Mogu room to limit the stone statue count. So these stone statues spawn from the large crate mobs, and the number of stone statues dictates how much damage the large mob does, in particular on its explosion that hits everyone in the group. So you want to keep the number of stone statues pretty low by cleaving them and DPS them down quickly while you're dealing with the main mob. In the Mogu room as well, make sure you focus Anima Golems before Shadow Ritualist spawns. The Anima Golem does matter scramble, which is kind of an annoying thing if the Anima Golem is left alive too long. The Shadow Ritualist can just be focused afterward. It doesn't really ramp up in difficulty over time. You also don't need to attack the Phylactery. You can just do damage directly to the Ritualist, and it will kill the Phylactery as well. And then finally in the Mogu room, stand in matter scramble beams that are near you. There'll generally be 2 of these for every given set. So if you're a ranged DPS, you stand in the back one. If you're melee, you can stand in the front one. Or have your ranged and your healer deal with them primarily. But make sure someone is in each beam every time they spawn. For the Manted room, make sure you drop bombs away from future tanking positions. So again, it's important to know the general route and order that your group is going to do crates so that you know where it's safe to drop bombs. And this will be in a position that your group is not about to move toward. So obviously, far away from the center is ideal for bombs. Otherwise, along the sides, where your group has already been, is the best general position. You can also drop them into the previous room as long as you don't get too far away from your healer doing so. And then finally, for the mana room, if you have a Dispel or a Purge mechanic, dispel residue off of the mobs, which will prevent a lot of extra healing and wasted DPS time. So, that pretty much covers it for the DPS guide for Heroic Spoils of Pandaria. Again, it's a pretty easy fight overall, but it can be somewhat chaotic. The best thing is just to have a plan set up and know which mobs you're dealing with at any given time, and basically how you have to handle those as a DPS player. That covers everything. So as always, good luck, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe.